Hello, good evening. Welcome. If you're here, just drop a comment so that I know that you're here. I can see some people have joined. Just drop a comment. I can see your comments. Hi, just drop a comment. Let me know your name and where you're joining from. Welcome. Hello. Hi, Yemi from Korodu. Sorry, the internet. Yes, we're back in. Okay, we'll just give 2 more minutes for people to join and I will start off. If you're here, just drop a comment. Let's know that you're in. Okay, okay, I see you, Guchinyere. Welcome, Guchinyere. Welcome, Precious David. Can you all hear me? Let me know if you can hear me, please. Let me know if you can hear me. Be weird. If you can hear me, just drop a comment in this. Just drop a comment and let me know you can hear me, so that I'm sure. Amazing. Hi, for me. Hi, everyone. Amazing. Okay. Hi, Judith. Welcome. Network seems to be interesting on my end today, which is not usually so. Mm, Okay, let's start. It's 5 minutes past 8. We start. The rest will join us when they join us. Father, we thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to learn. We give you all the praise. We give you all the glory. We thank you for today. We thank you for everyone. Thank you for taking us home safely. For those that are still on their way, thank you for taking them home safely. Thank you to everyone joining. Okay, welcome to today's webinar. For those of you that may not know me, a lot of people that I've seen here, the people that know me. So, who am I? My name is Iphie. From a career point of view, I've been a career woman for almost 17 years now. Actually, more than 17 years, it's almost 18 years now. I lead commercial at CAP, which is makers of Dulux. Before that, I used to work in Procter and Gamble, and I used to work in Delis, which is the company that bought over Cadbury. So that's my full-time job. On the other side of life, I founded Deluxe Childbirth Services that helps people have their babies in the US. And this is our 11th year. I also founded Share Virtuosity, which is home to the common woman. From a work point of view, I'm a board member and a non-executive director of microfinance bank. I've written 3 books and counting, still on that last, the book that is supposed to be the fourth book. And then over time, I have been recognized for my work at work and out of the workplace. I'm a mom of 3. So honestly, for the next 5 years, bet the more in them, even with their full-time jobs, without losing their families, their sanity, or their job. However, there are certain myths that stand in the way of them getting this information. So, for all of us on the call, once in a while, I will break to check that the the flow is going, technology is working, because I need to be sure that every other thing on the side that is streaming to your end is working. So once in a while, please, I will just tell you I want to pause. I want to check that technology is working. So right now, let me check that the technology is working. Okay, it looks like it is working. It looks like it is working. Okay. Hi, Moplan. Good to see you. Hi, Damilola. Hi, Kemi. Good evening. Good evening. Yes, our what's the fix? Our technology is working. Okay. So, but for me to be able to achieve this goal, which honestly starts my purpose, it means that I would there are a couple of myths that are in the minds of career women or that have been said about career women that we need to bust. The first one is, as a career woman, you cannot have it all. So you should seek balance instead of, seek balance. Your current balls. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a career woman. I should just seek balance there. However, God is saying that no, you shouldn't seek balance. We should seek elevation to, like, a plane that is um, going into greater heights. That's who we are. If we feel the need to bet more, it means that at this point in time, God is calling us to more. So that's the first myth that we need to break first for career women to be able to thrive in their fullness. The second myth is that, oh, most career people fail in business and they don't really do well because of lack of time, or trust me, the things that you see in the career world is not how it is in real life in business. That's why a lot of people that would work for donkey years, collect their gratuity, start a business and lose it. But that's a myth. It doesn't mean that it happens to everyone. This is my 11th year running 2 businesses now, and it's been thriving with my full-time job. And then the third myth that we need to bust in today's session is that you need to resign to pursue your dreams. That is not true. Um, it may be the way that certain people have achieved it. However, there are people that are achieving, pursuing their dreams without yet resigning. Okay. So busting the myth about that. So that's what we're going to see today. So for the next 60 minutes, I like to be very, very conscious of time, and I want us to get the best out of the time. So what we're going to do, please say no to any distractions over the next 60 minutes. I'm going to be sharing quite a lot. It's going to be fast. I'm going to be sharing with you secrets that have changed my life, and they would make a big difference in your life if you listen as well. And you actually not just listen, take notes, and then actually action it. Before we go into the session, I want to share 3 key messages. Number one, if you failed in the past before, so maybe you've tried to start a business with your full-time job, you've tried to bet you more, you've seen this thing and you feel like, oh, I'm bigger than this is more, my life is more than this. And you've tried before to branch out and do something, and it didn't work out. It's not your fault. There's a lot of information out there, can be confusing, and sometimes just that whole information overload would want to keep you from succeeding. So it's okay. So don't blame yourself. All right. And then if you have been concerned in the past that you just cannot succeed, I want to tell you to put all your fears to rest. You can do it. All you need is the right person to explain it to you. By the way, before I launched my first successful business, I'd failed like almost 4 or 5 times. So trust me, you can succeed. Thirdly, I know you have a dream to impact the world. You want to change your life. You don't want to have financial worries. You want to enjoy your relationship with your husband and children. And so I want you to know that I'm going to show you how to make that happen in this class. What is this class for? Well, you're here. You could be starting out on your journey to more. If you're starting out, you've never even tried it, all the better. This is going to be like a shortcut so that it would help you bet your more without any casualties, no trial and failure, no frustrations and things like that. If you've tried before and maybe you've given up, this webinar, my objective is to help you relook the past with the eye of understanding where your gaps are. So, what the gaps were, what are the things that happened that made you feel, in the past, or made you try and it didn't work out as you expected, so that you can tweak it and get ready for a breakthrough. So that's who my goal is in terms of who. What I want to show you that seeking balance is not what you need right now. As long as you have that turmoil in you, saying, this I'm more than this. Is this what life is? Is this all there is to life? Is there more to me? As long as you're already having those thoughts, those discussions, trust me, I want to show you that seeking elevation in line with your purpose versus balance, which is what the world tells you to do, is the key to living a fuller, enriched, fulfilling the idea. It sounds really crazy. It sounds like, oh my God, it's not impossible. But it is possible. And so I want to show you the map as well. And I'll show you through 3 secrets. Okay, so we're about to go in. I will just quickly run through my own story. But once again, I want to check that our technology is fine. Let's be sure that everyone can hear me. Can everyone hear me? It seems like we're good. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear me, just drop in the comment that you can hear me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. The slight delay before it shows here. So if you can hear me, amazing, amazing. Thanks for me. Okay, so I go back to my slides. Okay, so just quickly about my journey to more. Um, Interestingly, I got into university after 2 trials in Nigeria. How we say jammed me. Even though I graduated, I think I graduated second best student in secondary school. But I just couldn't get into university. It was so funny. So when I finally got in, my objective was to study and graduate with a 4 point GPA. Just go to school. Somewhere along the line, I think my 200 level, I found God and I found an organization called ISEC. Uh, One of those are the two best things that happened to me in my life in university. By finding God, I also found the Holy Spirit and understood that God was mindful of the things that I was interested in. I found ISEC, which brought me out. I used to be very, very, very shy, terribly shy. I used to sweat under my feet. I saw what I desired to be. I saw a young girl speaking on a stage to a whole hall of people. They were quiet, they were listening to her, and they were learning and they were taking notes. That's what I wanted. And I went straight up and I asked them, how did she get here? And they told me, join ISEC and do all the trainings. So I did. I ended up becoming the first female ISEC president in my school in Jos in 2002. I graduated top of my class in 2004. And I landed the job of my dreams in 2005 with Procter& and Gamble. So it was like my life was on a roller coaster. I was so happy. I had discovered myself. I found God. I was confident. I was audacious. Like all I needed to do was literally think, and God would do it for me. I remember I just finished university and we traveled to Germany and a couple of places. How I got the money was just literally God, but I was audacious. I wanted to do big things. I had big dreams. I got my first job, and at that point, I remember the package they gave me was my mother's. It's crazy. My 1 year salary as a first-time hire was my mother's retirement package after working for 25 years with the government. We cried. So it felt like life was really good. Then I got married. Then I became a mom, which is totally was totally totally amazing. I got married to my husband, who interestingly we had literally fought family for. So finally getting married was like I finally get married to my best friend, had my first son. And then it seemed like life changed. It seemed like I was disappearing. I was struggling to juggle my career, my home, my marriage, my in-laws. Like it was a lot. Myself and my husband used to quarrel a lot. Like, just like if we are laughing, I even start to get worried. Like, oh my God, we are laughing now. That means in the next few hours we're going to quarrel. And this is so crazy because even before we got married, we never used to quarrel. So I started struggling in that regard. I became stagnant at work. I lost passion for my job, especially after my son arrived. I was in sales, and sales I used to cover a really wide region from, if you're very familiar with Nigeria, all Nigerians really, but for those that are not Nigerians, if you're familiar with Nigeria, it was from Ibadan. Ibadan is like close to Lagos to up to Bauchi, which is in the north. That was my region. It was called Central Nigeria. So I needed to travel around. So I remember the first time I traveled with my baby, he was crying, as in it was terrible. So I lost passion for my job. Um, Nobody told myself and my husband that having a baby was going to be expensive, honestly. And to think that I breastfed my son exclusively for about 6 months before I even started combining breast milk and formula. And then I stopped finally when he was 11 months. Even at that, the pressure was a lot. Just that combining alone, the young man used to finish one tin of milk in 3 days. Our family income was really stretched. And then I just started thinking, like the search for more began. Of course, I've always had ideas. Yeah. I just never saw myself as a business person, but I always used the first idea that came in this time when I was ready to look for more was a concierge service for busy professionals, especially mothers. I wanted to help them to make their lives easy. So just help them with their reminders, help them with their groceries, help them with their errands, things like that. For more started when I was pregnant. So I was having a pregnant point. I was traveling. So anyway, long story short, launched that first business, hired an experienced team. I endured streams of excuses from the people that I hired for non-performance. They just were not bringing in the sales. The business made one sale, and that one sale was me that made the sale. So we lost a lot of money. But I learned something out of that. That when you have an idea, you're the most powerful person to sell the idea. So you need to understand it, you need to nurture it, you need to grow it, and then you can depend on people to scale your business. So I learned something from that one. Long story short, the business closed down. We lost all the money. Oh my God. And then, failing, it was the first time I was failing in my life. Yeah, I told you I graduated second best student in secondary school. I graduated best student in my university class. It was really the first time I was really failing. And so I was wondering, okay, what's wrong with me? What just happened? And so I came back to rebound. I launched another side also to bring in additional income. At this time, my son was, yes, I had come back and my son was born by then. I joined a network marketing group, and they were calling it at that point. It was forever, but it was there was something they called a customer club. Long story short, they didn't tell me the full story, and once again, I lost a lot of money, and I had enough aloe vera juice that literally could have fed a village for a month because they just made me keep buying and buying. I think at a point I said, you know what, I'm done. This is not working. I'm just spending money. So I lost a lot of money, and that was it. Long story short, between 2009, yes, in 2009, I had failed 3 times. And this is coming for someone that had never failed before. It was terrible. And so I decided that enough was enough. I was going to focus on my career since it seemed like that was the only thing that was working, even though it wasn't exactly working, because this was like my fourth or fifth year in my career and I still hadn't been promoted. So I told myself, you know what, I'm going to move back to Lagos. So I was in sales and I moved to Abuja because my husband was in Abuja at that time. So back to marketing. Marketing in multinational sector like brand management. So I moved back to Lagos. Thankfully, my husband was traveling at that time, so he was fine. So I moved back to Lagos. And then I started marketing. And my objective was to focus on my career and get promoted, since business obviously wasn't it for me. And then on March 17, 2010, this is now I have two dates like that where, the enemy really wanted to take me out and they lost. But on that day, I almost died. I was in the office. I just felt something, a thought in my stomach, like something in my stomach, boom. And I couldn't stand again. I couldn't move. I rushed in. I tried to move. I got to the bathroom. I fell on the floor. My friends followed me. Long story short, I got to the hospital. Long story short, actually I was having a ectopic pregnancy and I didn't know. I didn't know, and they trust Nigerian hospitals. They said they wanted to do a test to check whether I was pregnant, but the scan man had closed, so they had to wait till the next day. So they gave me a bed. My son was less than a year old, so I was like, you know what, I need to go back home. It's just my son and my nanny. Because remember, I told him my husband was traveling. So I said I was going to leave, and I signed the document saying if anything happened to me, it was me that took the decision. So I signed it. And as I was about to leave the room, I went into the bathroom to wee wee. On my way back to my bed, I just passed out. I fell down and I passed out. And where I was there, I heard a voice asking me, "Do you want to go home and be a corpse by morning, or do you want to stay here and be alive in the morning?" And I said, I will stay. So I kept saying that I will stay, I will stay, I will stay until I came back to consciousness because apparently when I fell down, I made such a loud noise that the nurses came. Okay, so that was March 17th, 2010. After that experience, it was obvious. Honestly, everybody thought I was going to die. Even the doctor that operated on me told me that the Thursday before this March 17th, a woman had actually died because of this. So he stayed back to have surgery on me by 1 a.m. The next morning, I woke up and I had a nurse sitting down in front of my bed waiting for me to wake up. I don't know if that does happen in Nigerian hospitals. And immediately I woke up, she said, Madam, God loves you. God loves you. God loves you. And she rushed out and called the doctor. Long story short, it made me really think about my life and ask myself, like, God, why did you keep me? It made me become more intentional about my life. Like, I could have died. I honestly could have died. It was so funny. Even just before they were about to operate on me, they didn't give me a transfusion. It was when they were about to start the surgery, the anesthesiologist was a very old man, just looked at me and said, "You want this woman to die. Why haven't we given her blood?" Like they were going to cut me open. Meanwhile, I was having an ectopic, which means that I am draining blood. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, they found 2.5 liters of blood in my stomach. The total amount of blood in a human being's body is something close to 4 liters, so about 3 point something. So imagine that more than half of the blood in my body was in my stomach in the wrong place. Like the enemy had a plan. Anyway, it made me stop whining and took charge of my life. And then finally, um, checking our technology to be sure it's working. Can you all hear me? I see Eniola saying that volume should be louder. See, this is why it's always good to check this technology. Can you all hear me well? Please just let me know. Um, so I was saying that all this happened in 2010. I decided to take charge of my life, um, and sometime I started asking the right questions. That's just to be honest. I started asking the right questions. So I stopped asking, oh, um, okay, yes. So I'm really says you can hear me great. So I can go back to my slides. So I started asking the right questions. Like before I used to be like, oh God, what do you want me to do? And I changed it and I'm like, with all these things that you've given me, what can I do? What do you need me to do right now? And I remember I had a conversation with God, which was very, very interesting. And I said, oh Lord, I want to resign. I was tired. I said, why do you want to resign? I said, because I'm tired. It's not if I'm getting promoted in my job and things like that. And then to make things worse, this was the period where Linda KG just blew. And I'm like, how can someone just blow because she's writing a blog? Like, seriously, I write. I love writing. And then he asked me, what do you love to do? And I said, no, what do you know how to do? And I said, I know how to give birth to babies in the US back to back. And I started laughing. I said it as a joke. And he said, so why don't you start it as a business? And I said, God, that doesn't sound like a real business. That sounds like scam. Like nobody's doing it. I'm just fortunate because somehow I just had my babies in the US. And the first time I went, nobody expected someone of my level of juniority, the organization, to go and have a baby in the US. Obviously, it's not like we had the money. My brothers were there. The bills came out. It was crazier than we thought. But because I'd had my first child, I was determined to have my other children in the US. So I was determined to find the best cost. And that's how I started doing it. And all of a sudden, people start asking me, oh, how did you go? How did you get the best cost? How did you pass immigrations? And God was like, turn it into a business. And it's crazy. I battled with it from December 2010, but finally launched it a year later because I was scared. I launched it December 2011. Guess what? I launched it as a book and it failed. I had to relaunch it in February 2012 as a service and it took off. What did I learn here? I learned that you always should bet your more. That gift that you have, you want to give to the world, give it in the format that the world wants to receive it. I wanted to give it in the format of a book because that was what was most convenient for me. But the world did not want a book. They wanted someone to run the service for them. Anyway, by year one, had made over $15,000. Had 40 clients, no advertising, nothing. I had my first team in 2012, 2013. Interestingly, this business, year one was 15,000. Year two, we doubled. Year three, we tripled. Yeah, it was crazy. We tripled or we quadrupled. But by year three or year four, we had $100,000 of turnover. And then we launched what we called like the Love Project. We called it Project Mom Alive, where we're helping indigent people with maternal care. And then guess what? All of a sudden, I got promoted at work. Wow. And see me that was looking for money where my whole drive was I must make money, I need money. I didn't know when the shift happened and I moved from money to impact. I really wanted to touch lives. I'd seen the effect of my gift on people. I remember one lady that had a baby in the US. The husband, interestingly, I think they used to live in the UK. And then something happened in the UK and they got deported back to Nigeria. And the man felt he was a failure, and the wife was pregnant. And he had promised himself that his children would not be born in Nigeria. Somehow they found me. They had nobody in the US because they couldn't go back to the UK. I sorted out everything, including where they stayed. The day the man's wife gave birth, the man called me and the man was crying. And I started crying. And he was like, thank you. Thank you that I saved him. I covered him. See, your gift, there are people that need it. You will charge for it. People will pay you for it, but the value they will receive is much more than the money that they will give you because it's your gift. You'll be shocked. Anyway, the shift happened for me. I moved from money to impact. We partnered with USAID and the United Nations to make childbirth safer in the IDP camps. And guess what? We got on national TV. Like seriously, we were on NTA News. Oh my God. It was amazing. It was amazing. I launched Share Virtuosity in 2014 because that was one of the things I promised God if certain things happened. Um, and then we had our first ever women's conference in 2017, a common women conference, and we had over 500 women in attendance. This is coming from me that had never gone to events. God doesn't choose. So I'm sure some of you will be like, oh, God can't use me to do this. No, God can use you very, very well. I told you, I used to be very, very shy. I launched my books and all that. So I finally got it. It's not about focusing on your current balls. It's not about activity. Everybody's doing it, so let me try. No, it's about doing what God has planned for your life for that season. It will be tough, but it's usually the catalyst that is needed to jumpstart progress in all areas of your life. So if you notice, a lot of when I talk about betting your more, is betting your more in line with purpose, not just because everybody is doing it. you know. So I learned the hard way, but after 3 years, I finally learned how to bet my more correctly. It took me another 2 years to figure out how to handle it with my home, my job without dropping the balls. Today, this year is 11th year since I launched Divox. My children have grown. I've grown in my career. Honestly, my income has grown like, almost 6, 7 times. from where I started from. So I've grown in my career, the businesses have grown, grown in my home. I've been able to manage it very well. And so I want to share with you some of those secrets that I have. There are three of them. The three secrets that I want to share with you today is how to proactively identify your purpose inspired more based on three simple questions. Because for some of you, you're like, what's that thing that I need to bet? I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to share with you. Number two is, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm going to teach you how to make out time from your already busy schedule to bet this more. And number three is, oh God, how am I going to combine it with everything? I'm going to share with you my number one secret hack to achieving this, which is your getting your more, growing your career without dropping any balls or losing your sanity. So are we ready? If we're ready, I need to be sure that I'm here with people. So are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready to hear the three secrets? Let me see you in the comments. Yes, 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 or no, 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 or maybe, maybe, maybe. Akemi is saying the writing is not clear enough about the network. Today is it's an interesting day. Okay, so are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Yeah, the network is really interesting. I see it is getting better. Let me see if I can see any comments here. Okay, Fumi says very ready. Is okay. Let me see any more people that are ready. Let's go back. Oh my, this network is getting interesting. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Fumi. So we're going to go straight into the three secrets. The first one is secret number one: how to proactively identify your purpose inspired more based on three simple questions. So, what are these questions? What do you do? And what do you love to do? I told you about my story. So the Holy Spirit asked me, what do you know how to do? And I said, I know how to give birth. I know how to give birth to babies in the US back to back. And he says, why don't you turn it into a business? So of course I was arguing. So I wrote it down. But I wrote it down with the and God, you can't be serious. Any more ideas? And then he asked me, what do you love to do? Um, and I said, I love to sleep, you know. But after laughing about it, I said, no, really, I just love to help people. I love to help people clear the. I wanted to be a doctor when I was growing up. And the reason why I wanted to be a doctor was very, very interesting because when I was in primary four, I almost died. There's this funny pattern in my life which I want to be. I believe God now that it's finally been broken. But every time I'm about to go into a decade year, something always happens in my life to try and take my life. But I believe God that has been broken with the last one. So, primary four, I used to be very, very sick, very, very sick. In Lagos, then they took me everywhere. Only one doctor knew what was wrong with me. It was when typhoid just came into town, and so I had typhoid apparently. So I was always falling sick. They said all kinds of things. My liver was finished, everything. Anyway, I wanted to be a doctor because of that man. I wanted to be the way everybody took me around Lagos until we got to that man and there was a solution. I wanted to be that person that would be able to give a solution, like the last bus stop. Like when you get to me, literally, you can be sure that by God's grace, you would have a solution. I wanted to be that kind of that. So that's why I wanted to be a doctor. I ended up not being a doctor, but I think that thing has just followed me in life. Like I desire deep down to end people's problems. Like when you meet me by God's grace, something needs to change in your life, So another question that he asked me was, what do people come to you for help on? And so let's backtrack. First question. So I should ask you, what do you know how to do? And as we're having this, please take out time and just think about it. What do you know how to do? And what do you love to do? What's that thing that when you're doing, you feel so happy? Time can pass, you're not doing anything. Second question is, what do people come to you for help with? What's that thing? And I remember then in the office, people just come to me to help them. I'm pregnant. I want to find a hospital in the US. I hear that you had your baby in the US. things that interestingly when I was answering those questions. Okay, so the second question to know what your purpose inspired idea could be is what do people come to you for help with, for help on rather. Now the third one is what experiences have you overcome that people still struggle with? What are those things that you've done? And in my own case, all these three questions were pointing to the same thing at that time. So what do I know how to do? I know how to give birth in the years back to back. What do I love to do? I really just love to help people. I want to see people, I want to just see their lives change because they met me. Then he asked me again, what do people come to you for help on? I said, oh, in my office at that point, like everybody, once they just get pregnant and they tell their boss will say, go and meet you for my, and they just come. And immediately I'm like, oh, where are you going to? I will just start opening everything, start saying, oh, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. This. I'm just genuinely happy I want to help them. He asked me, what experiences have you overcome that people still struggle with? I think people still struggle at that time with, just knowing what to do, how to maneuver the process. So based on that was, for some of you, when you run this, you might see two or three threads, but it ultimately still drives you to run. And then I said three questions, but I put this fourth one because most women that I've interacted with, most times we are women of impact. We want to touch lives. Um, However, there's something that I heard when I just finished university. I went for Shilo, and it was the most profound thing I learned in that Shilo from Miles Monroe. And Miles Monroe said, every gift that God has given to you is an opportunity to grow wealth, to create wealth and grow it. It doesn't matter whether you're a man of God or you're a preacher or you're whatever. Every gift God has given to you is an opportunity for you to create wealth. And he used himself as an example. And he said, I'm a preacher, I have a church. However, I am so passionate about leadership. God has taught me about leadership from the Bible. I have read about it, and gotten deeper and deeper into it, such that as at that time he had a leadership institute and he was training organizations and nations and charging them good money. So most times, most women I encounter, we're women of impact. We want to help, we want to help. You need to realize that money helps your ideas grow bigger. Whatever you want to birth, think about it and how can I get paid from this? Now, for some of you, be like, oh no, but I just want to help this. But if you get paid from it, you will get in that will allow you to even do charity work from it. I'll give you an example. So from Deloitte, when I started, I was just helping people. And honestly, even when God told me to convert it to a business, I honestly business is stress. Charging people is stress. Doing things for free is okay. But if you do things for free, after a while you get tired. I couldn't stop Deluxe even when I wanted to stop Deluxe because I had touched lives. And the money had touched my life too. I had staff. I had people that were depending on me. But anyway, we got the income and then we started doing work for people that couldn't afford it. So out of it, we were using first baby food. But every year, I think it is every year, but actually, I can't remember. She does like a food drive and goes to give food to people. Of course, I'm sure she loves giving food. All of us love helping people. We love helping the poor. We love giving to the hungry. But there needs to be a source that is continually bringing that money so that it's sustainable. So that's why I always say the fourth question is how can you get paid for this? Because once the income comes, you can always map out how to do charity work with it, which fulfills your desire to impact even more lives, especially impact the lives of people that cannot help you, you know. Well, so I'm sure we get the point on this one. So three start a I can start ordering for dry foods and supplying to people. I can start, baking pastries. She could start cooking for people. So out of things you know how to do, there are always opportunities in there. Okay, some of you might be thinking, Iffy, oh, I'm not good enough. I need to learn more before I launch out. I'm going to tell you a story about somebody. Her name is Maureen. Okay, my network. My network. This, my network is active. Come to think of it, where can I? Okay, sorry, the network went off, so I'm joining back. Let me know. Let me know when you can hear me. Yeah. So I was saying that this network is very bad. Okay, so I was saying that just in case you're thinking, oh, I don't think I'm good enough. I need to learn more before I launch out. Not necessarily. I'll tell you the story of one lady that was in one of our the challenge group 2020. She bakes, and when she did this thing, the idea that came to her was to launch a baking school, so to teach people how to bake cakes. And she said she felt so inadequate. Like, how can God ask me to teach people to bake cakes? I don't think I'm good enough like that. But it kept coming and coming and coming. And guess what? The business that she was trying to launch, which was like pastries business in front of her house, she had gotten a grant of 50K to grow the business. She lost that 50K. So she had no option than to go back to what God had been telling her to do, which was to launch a baking school. And then she launched it. And the first set of people were 5 people that paid her, each of them paid her 10K. So she got the 50K back. And since then, she has done different cohorts. Guess what? She has even expanded where she stays now. What am I trying to say? Sometimes we think like this is sometimes fear that is holding us back. So don't think that way. Launch out, especially that idea is coming now. Or if you're not young anymore, I've blown my chances, I've disappointed God. One of the camps we had in 2019, two of the participants were 50s. And one of them was already doing a lot of work with women. On her 60th birthday, she launched her first book. That last year she was having 62 or 61 or 62 last year. Yeah, I think so. 60, no, 60 or 61. She became a certified coach. So trust me, you haven't blown your chances, you haven't disappointed God. So I have shown you how to proactively identify your purpose inspired more based on three simple questions. I'm going to teach you the next secret, which is how to make out time from your already busy schedule to bet this more, because that's a critical thing. Now you know the more, or you can, when you sit down with yourself and these questions, you can know what that more idea is. Having the idea doesn't mean it to come to life. You need to make out time for it. This is how we love to look. Like, oh, we're women, we're acing everything, taking care of the children, we're at work, we're this. But in reality, this is how we look. Like, oh my God, I'm tired. Like, just get away from me, all of you. And this is how I was. But next thing I had to do was I had to reassess my time. Remember, I had that idea from God, which I needed to bet. But I needed to reassess my time to be able to work on it. So what was the first thing I did? I assessed my work days. And our work days are Monday to Friday. I used to go to work and just generally, take my time, especially after having lunch. I will say, oh, my brain doesn't work. Oh, sorry, my brain doesn't work after lunch. So maybe for 1 hour, I'll just be having some chit chat and things like that. By the time I realized that, no, I needed to make use of my time, because what it meant was that I will work Monday to Friday and I will still take work home. So that means even at home, I'm working. So what time will I now have to work on my more idea? I told myself, as a matter of importance, I will not take work home, except in extreme cases, like maybe, like when you have all these your VPs visiting and those kind of big deal things. So Monday to Friday, I had to optimize my time. I have a to-do list and I make sure everything gets done. And then when I get home in the evenings, I switch off my hat of work and I switch on my hat of Tilux and I start working on my more idea. I use my traffic time. I know someone that used to be the CMO of MTN. He's also a full-time pastor, has his own church, and yet he wrote three books, leading MTN as CMO, pastor of his church, even in he's an advertising practitioner, president at a certain time. So he had a lot on his plate, yet he did that. And he said one of the books he wrote it in traffic. So what are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your traffic time? What are you doing with your time after work when you get home? Watching all telemundo, different things. Can we use it for more productive, purpose-driven stuff? Secondly, I look at my rest days, which is like my weekend. Typically Saturdays we rest. I don't know how I just got this rema, but God worked for 6 days and rested on the seventh day. It was the same instruction that He gave the Israelites. So the question to me was, at what point did I start thinking that if I work for 5 days and rest for 2 days, I will be able to achieve the things that God expects of me? God expects me to work 6 days and rest on one day. And so I had to reassess my Saturday. What did it mean? All the weddings, the parties, I wasn't going. Yeah, people stopped inviting me, but I was working on my purpose. I was working on something bigger. And at the end of the day, it became really successful. Everybody still asked me, how did you do it? So I focused on my Saturdays, and my objective was to get out at least 6 hours of work on Saturday. So from 10 to like 3, 4, it meant that I couldn't go to market every week. So some things that I asked for support from my spouse and say, okay, you know what, I will cook. I'll go to market once a month and I'll cook in that period. A lot of tasks that I had to delegate, obviously with support of your spouse, and we'll talk about it at the end. And then obviously I dedicated Sunday to my family. So Sunday is really rest day, it's my family. And even until today, you would hardly see me put an event or a meeting or a session on a Sunday. No. But I work 6 days. I would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But on Sunday, as much as possible, it's my family time. And guess what? When I did this, by placing real value on my time and optimizing my Mondays to Saturday, I was able to free up as much as 15 hours a week just to work on my new business. How did I get that 15 hours? Every Monday, Monday to Friday, I needed to get at least 2 hours. I used to get even more. So I would get home usually about 7, and then sort out my children, till about 8, 8:30, and then I start working. Interestingly, in the peak of the business, I actually used to work more like from 8 to almost 12 midnight, 1 a.m. In the peak of the business. For you, just even starting out to make time, how can you get 2 hours every day? It's either you get it in the morning before you go out in the evening. Um, Traffic time also included, minimum 2 hours. If you do that Monday to Friday, you have 10 hours. Saturday, 5 hours. That's 15 hours already. Okay. And you can use that to work on your new business. I heard a quote somewhere. It says, if you are not giving at least 30 minutes of your time to your dream, then it's either you don't have a dream or you're pretending that you have one. So if you're really serious about betting on you, God has graciously shown you what it is. You need to dedicate, you need to make out at least 15 hours per week to do this. Oh, some of you might be saying, okay, well, if he, yeah, you get 7, I get home by 11 o'clock and I have to leave by 5 a.m. in the morning and I also work weekends. I'm going to tell you something. That job is not your only job. And if you desperately want to bet your more is tied to your purpose. Your purpose has God's backing. This, if I were in this situation, I would like to God and say, God, you know what? You've given me this purpose. I know that doing this work will make you happy. However, I am in this job and I have time. I close by 8 p.m. I leave in the morning by 5 a.m. Weekends. Lord, me get me out that job that would enable me to make enough time to do this. And believe God for it. He always answers. You doing your purpose is important to him. Okay? Then I know some of you may also be asking, if you're not proud of it, but I take so even all this time that you have called out, I'm still working to be that. But I had to work on day, my to-do list during the day so that I'm making sure that every minute is spent on work that is actually productive. I had a to-do list and I start with the biggest things that would I would that if it gets out of my to-do list, like there is a huge heap of relief. That's number one. Number two, you need to learn to say no. Sometimes a lot of us that work at work heavily and work at home heavily is because we don't know how to say no. So sometimes you're even doing somebody else's work, So and learning to say no because you might worry and say, "Oh, but in my career, how will it help?" No, um, you manage expectations. So, for example, if you're working on 5 things and your manager gives you a sixth one, on a good day, you'd have told yourself, you know what, I'll go home and work on this sixth one. You need to speak up and say, oh, I've worked on 5 big things. I'm not sure I'll be able to do this sixth one right now. However, I'm not sure I'm going to do the sixth one right now. If the manager insists and says, oh, it's really urgent, it's okay. Could you just help me in prioritizing? Like, which one can I um, deliver maybe on a later date so I can deliver this now? You need to learn to speak up. If you don't, your plate is always going to get fuller and fuller and fuller. I know it sounds like if you don't understand the bosses and your no, you need to learn to speak out. Okay. Um, some other person might say, "Oh, if it's not just about the time. I don't want to be seen as a bad mom. I don't have so much time. So when I come back home, I just want to spend it with the children." Yeah, very, very important. I say it, I said, let bedtime count. And it's something that has helped me with my children. Like my sons just came back from school and we were just hugging and hugging and like, oh, I really missed you. Um, don't worry, let me just quickly finish my stuff and then we can, chit chat. But when they were much younger, I don't do anything until they've gone to bed. So we have bedtime, and when I'm with you, I give you my full attention. So when for bedtime, we just about their day, what did they learn, and things like that. For example, now this lady in the picture, the child is sleeping. Drop the child, So don't let people guilt trip you that you're a career mom and so you're a bad mom. Don't let them guilt trip you, please. And I don't know why I'm saying this, but it's really, really important. You're an amazing mom. You're a great mom, and God will keep helping you to be an amazing mom. So, what you need to do when my children are much younger, when I get home, until they go to bed, I'm with them, and then they go to bed, and then I start working. Now they are much older. Interestingly, they know how we set up. They know when I'm about to have a common woman video. They help me set up and things like that. Okay, so long story short, I have shown you how to make out time from your already busy schedule to bet this more. I've shown you, first of all, three questions to ask for you to pull out what this purpose inspired more is. I've shown you how to make out at least 15 hours. And then the next thing I'm going to share with you is how to achieve this in terms of betting your more without dropping any balls or losing your sanity. Okay? Yeah, just to be sure that our network is still working. Is the network still? Because okay, yes, I think it is. It is. I'm just checking. So, how do you how do you juggle all this? You need to ask for help. Yep, you need to ask for help. This is not the era of superwoman. You ask for help from God and you ask for help from your husband if you're married. And what do I mean by ask for help from God? I've been in times in my career where I think like, oh my God, this is a lot of work. Like things could potentially just go really wrong. And I ask for help. And I'm like, God, you know you've asked me to do this. On this part, just help me on my job. Please. I remember during the recession of 2017, brands were declining, businesses were declining. I used to handle Oral-B, the toothpaste and the toothbrush then in West Africa and East Africa. And the recession was bad. My business was supposed to decline percent, no, 5%. That was even a stretch target because the first time we did it, business was supposed to decline, make sure that it declines only 5%. And I was even thinking, "God, how am I going to do this?" And it was a recession. It was crazy. FX was changing every time. And meanwhile, at the same time, God had told me to write the Uncommon Man book. And I was like, God, just help me, please. I need help. I can't manage this with the pressure from work at this time. Before I get to work, my boss has already told me this is what FX rate is. We need to check pricing. It was crazy. But guess what? All brands and businesses were declining. My own was growing. It got to a point, everybody was like, "Ifma, what are you doing? What's happening? Or what are you doing differently?" And I'm like, I cannot explain to you because I don't know. I'm doing stuff, I'm doing activities, yes, but it's not those activities that are responsible for the fact that we're growing. Because when you look at the activities in themselves, they're like, is this it? But that's what you get from when you ask God for help. You should ask your husbands for help as well if you're married. You need help on the home front. When we talk about asking for help, is looking through. Sorry, there's a truck passing in front of my house. The noise is coming. Looking through all the things you need to do. Where do you need help? I remember the first time I was going to bed my mom. Um, the help I asked my husband for at that time was just to I needed a driver because then what happened was happening in my life cook, and I was pregnant, by the way. And I said, I just need a driver. By the way, I didn't know my husband could cook, so that's why I could ask for help with regards cooking. But I asked for help from with a driver so that the driver, when I clock home, the driver will pick me, pick up my sons. I will be able to even sleep in the car or even get myself more before I get home and I have to start cooking. Just the fact that I asked for help is interesting. He leaned over, and that's how I found out he could cook. So sometimes before I even get home, he's asking me, "Oh, what do you want to eat?" Things like that. So ask for help from God and from your husband. I'm sure some of you are just laughing. How if you don't know my husband, he will not support me. See, no man is innately bad. No man is. It was no. Wait, you married him, right? At the point you married him, you saw good in him, right? I talk about my husband and how my husband has been like a really great sport. But the truth is that the first time I wanted to belong to Jesus, my husband said something very interesting. But I realized that it's like seed time and harvest. If I support you, I didn't realize it honestly. It was just God that brought that situation that told me, fine, he doesn't want to support this. Remove your mind from it. Don't let it affect you. And then about that, an opportunity came for him where I was knowledgeable. God was the one using me to help him. And I helped him. And I realized that and such that by the time the opportunity to now launch teams, he literally carry a lot on his head. What am I trying to say? Time and harvest. Whenever I see a woman that says my husband doesn't support me, I behind that woman I see a man that doesn't feel supported. So how can you sow more? And trust me, it will come. It will bear fruit. We have a separate course in the Uncommon Woman University. It's called Dream Support Masterclass, and we go into detail on how to get your husband's. You can sow the seeds, but if you don't ask for right, you will not get support. We cover a lot of that. Some might be saying, if sorry, the internet threw me. I didn't even realize that threw me out. Can you tell me what was the last thing you heard so that I even know where to go to? What was the last thing you heard? What was the last thing you heard? Just yes, the screen. Yes, for me says the screen is blank. Yes, it will be blank. Interestingly, it threw me out. Can you let me know what was the last thing you saw before the screen went out? Let me see here. Ah, interesting. Okay. Okay, so I'm finished here. I was also saying that some of you might think that doesn't want to use you, you're not good enough. And I was saying here that if God wants to use you, then you're good enough. He doesn't come for the healthy, he comes for the sick. He likes to use the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. And I said that what is most important here is that you need to remember that lives are tied to you living your purpose. There are lives that are tied to you. So think about those lives and brace up and do what you need to do. I was talking about here, I said some of you might say, oh, I want to launch a proper store, but how will I attend to clients when I'm at work? My husband is also at his own job. I was talking about how, the virtuous woman talks about how her light is on, her candle, her light is on, day and night. So she's literally attending to customers. And I remember that made me ask God deep questions like, how can I run a business that is always available day and night? I'm impacting lives even when I'm sleeping. I'm making money even when I'm sleeping, you know. And then that's how I got introduced to the world of online business, online business. So putting your business online and brick and mortar. So especially after COVID, a lot of things are now online. I would really encourage you to think about putting your business online versus brick and mortar. Okay, so that rounds it up for number two in terms of how do you achieve this without dropping any balls or losing your sanity. So in summary, you can have it all if you focus on betting the all God had in mind when He created you. That's the first thing. You must focus on betting the all that God had in mind when He created you, which is your purpose. Jeremiah 1:5 says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you and I ordained you as a prophet to the nations. So before God formed you in the womb as a woman, He knew you. He had a plan and a purpose and an assignment for you. You can bet the all God had in mind when He created you if you know that. You also need to understand there is a process and you follow the process. But you also need to seek support and systems that will enable you to elevate. Okay, you need to seek support and systems that will enable you to elevate. If not, you will still be on the normal level. Remember, I think it was Moses when his in-law told him that he should get men that were going to oversee smaller units and be judges over them so it would be easier for him. He couldn't be doing every single thing. So these are the three core messages from today. Do we have any questions before I ask my own questions? Do you have any questions before I ask my own questions? So while I'm waiting for your questions, how many of you are excited about what we've just learned? Let's see. Okay. Yes, thank you for me. I went back. I've seen it. Yes. And you were asking the three questions. What do you know and love to do? What do people come to you for help on or help with? And then the third one is what have you overcome that people are still struggling with? And then I put a bonus fourth question, which is how do I ensure I get paid from this? So that you bring in the stream of income and then you can do more. Okay. So for me saying if you focus on one thing, how is it best managed? Honestly, in my experience, especially when you have a job, it's always easiest to focus on one thing at a time. It's easy to focus on one thing at a time. There's this saying that says I can't remember, is it the hunter or the man that chases multiple rabbits never catches any one of them. So when you're faced with biting multiple things, the first thing you need to find out is, what is this your will? Because even though in life 90 something percent of pregnancies are singletons, single babies, but there are exceptions, and those exceptions give birth to twins, triplets, as the case may be, but they're not as common. Doesn't mean that they're not. If you're faced with multiple things, I think it's supposed to be will for me. Is this your will that I do better? If not, if that's his will, then how do I make this work? If not, he should guide you in choosing. And then there's a process. I think I know it's in one of our deeper courses, but I can quickly run it through him, the ideas, and come out with one. Focus on one, bet that one. For people that have full-time jobs, I honestly do not recommend betting more than one at a time. Take one, take 90 days, keep everything, work on it, deliver it, and then next. As you do it and have success, you will have the energy to the next one. So pace yourself. So that's what I would say. Okay, so how many of you are excited? Okay, Precious says she's excited. For me, I hope that answered your question. Okay, so Gochinya was saying I should reshare the one about process. I think I was talking about the three messages that I wanted to share. Let me see. We talked about, in summary, you can have it all if you focus on betting the more, the all that God in mind when He created you, which is your purpose. You need to understand there's a process and follow it, and you need to seek support systems. All right. Okay. So for last week, we had a session where we talked about the graduation. Well, we were part of the graduation of the last boot camp. So, if it's okay, but the reason why we launched that boot camp was to help people bet their more faster, to be able to understand themselves and bet their more faster. So, if it's okay, I will just quickly run through what the camp is about, because we actually officially opened enrollment. Please, more questions. I want to read your questions. Any more questions before I share about the boot camp? Any more questions? We've answered Fumi's question. We've answered the last question. Any more questions? Okay, while I'm waiting for your questions, let me quickly tell you about the bootcamp. First of all, the name has changed. It's now called the Emerge 31 Day Accelerator, which is an action. That's what we expect after 31 days. You literally emerge as a new woman, as a new person. You know how people think, oh, there's nothing that can come out of this one. No, you emerge as a valid new person. And it's an accelerator program, so it's done really fast. So in the program, what essentially happens is that over the course of 31 days, we will guide you to rediscover yourself, uncover purpose, define success for yourself as an individual and not what society said. And then you will now identify the exact idea God is calling you to bet in this season. You also come out of the bootcamp or the accelerator with a 90-day action plan. So it's not just about the 31 days, but you now have a 90-day action plan on what I want to achieve. Okay. The whole idea is that so that you're living life fully, you're building wealth, you're positively impacting life in ways that makes God proud. So what do you expect? What happens in the accelerator? Every day for 6 days. Remember, we talked about time. God worked for 6 days and rested for seven. And that's what he expects from us. So with the boot camp, we want to start to build that habit in you. So daily content will be sent to your phone 6 days a week. You'll be expected to listen to the content, complete the exercises, and share it in the learning group. There's going to be a learning group where you will be with other women the accelerator at the same time, and we all grow together. There'll be weekly question and answer and group coaching sessions with me. You will be private. You have, interestingly, your success coach. For me, that's like the biggest thing. You have your success coach who is AKA your own personal hype woman, her responsibility or is to focus on supporting the best out of the program and finish the program. The next cohort starts on the 4th of March. It's a Saturday. Um, and enrollment is open now. So, but what do, if you were part of the graduation, you would have heard some of the testimonials, but I just quickly read two here. Violet says, last year I prayed for destiny helpers, and that's how I stumbled upon the bootcamp advert. I made inquiries and I paid. I learned how to manage my time better and prioritize based on essentialism. I've started two projects, a paid reading club and an outreach to community government schools to build the library and teach children how to read. I would really recommend the bootcamp for women who want to impact their world. Violet was one woman that really blew my mind because right in the bootcamp, most times what we see with the accelerator, the whole promise is that you will identify that more. And usually in the 90 days with your 90 days action plan, you will bet it. For Violet, already by the time we were in week 3 or week 4, she had already even launched the reading club and had already bet it and had gotten, I think, 2 clients or so, and had already started work on the outreach. So this is from Violet. From Theodora, she says, I was seeking an opportunity to push myself and cultivate godly friendships when I heard about the Made for More bootcamp and I decided to jump on it. 31 days later, I got skills to keep myself accountable, both spiritual and physical. I also got tools to push beyond the many fears I carried. I created a good plan for myself and I got invited to a speaking opportunity. Even grown a better relationship with my son, and I'm working on a book or course to be released at the end of March. The accelerator program doesn't just help you with regards, oh, I want to bet you more. It helps honestly across every facet of your life. We've had several stories. There's favorite cakes. Favorite cakes was the lady I was telling you about that got told to start a training school for a cake baking training school. And she did. We had another client who the more she wanted to bet out of it was in her career. She ended that year being like the staff of the year. We've had people that have launched ministries, Women of Grace Intercessory. It's going to be 3 years this year, since the launch. And then we have people that have launched books that have not even grown to become academies. So there's so much that can be done. When you join the boot camp, the accelerator, I'm still learning, you will get the 31-day accelerator, the content, the weekly Q&As. You will have access to the teachers coach. We also have about 7 bonus trainings. Yes. Last cohort, we only did 3. This cohort, I'm adding a bit more because I'm seeing that it's becoming more relevant. We may need it, which is the good thing about this. We have tons of trainings, so we're able to share more. But you have 7 bonus trainings: how to identify your purpose, your idea that you're supposed to bet, how to hear God and understand what He's saying to you at the time. That's very, very important. One of our best trainings: how to set up a business to run even with your job. When I talk about online business, simple way to do it: how to sort the home front, book writing for busy women, how to create and sell your first online course. Quite a number of them. We have 7 of them. Okay. Um, so you get the accelerator, you get the private community, you get your success coach, you get the weekly Q&A, and you get these bonus trainings. Okay. Typically, the accelerator program is 49,750. However, we don't charge that because we want a lot of people to be able to access it. Interesting, I saw a program that was similar to it, and they were charging 50K, and I was smiling. Well, that's the original price, 49,750. However, we want more people to join in. And so we have 3 different parts. You can start for as low as 15,000. If you pay 15,000 and join, you would get the 31-day content, the daily content, the weekly sessions, you get the live community, but you only get access to bonus 1, 2, and 3 only. Plus, at the end of the program, after graduation, you will have access to the content for just 10 days after graduation. So graduation happens after your 31 days, so you will have access to the content 10 days after graduation only. That's the basic plan, 15,000. You can decide to do the premium plan, which is our most recommended. It's 20,000. You would have access to everything in the basic plan. However, when it comes to the bonuses, you have access to all the bonuses. And when it comes to the program content and the bonuses, you will have lifetime access. So even after the program is done, it's your content. You can always refer to it. Right? Sounds more interesting, right? And then the pro plan is 50,000. You get everything in the premium plan, but you also get one for one coaching session with me. One of the things we saw in the last cohort was that people wanted to have one-on-one to get that personal different people as it works for you. But it does, no matter what it takes, it's at least 70% of it's an opportunity of life. You can enroll now, it's open, and it's on commonwomanmovement.com/emerge31A. So emerge 31 accelerator. I'll share the link with us in the group or in our emails. And there's a money back guarantee. So if you join for the first 7 days and you think, oh, I don't like this, blah, 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 just let us know and we'll refund your money back. It needs to be done within the first 1 week. We are so sure that you will love it. So if you join and in the first 1 week you feel like, oh no, I don't like it, da da da, no problem. We refund you your money. I'd like to ask, it's not a cost, it's an investment. A lot of people will say, oh, this is going to cost me, no, 15,000. No, you're investing into your life and into yourself. So imagine what an investment of 15,000 can save you. It can, the people that came on last cohort, it was just mind blowing things that they were able to do, things that for those that know think about and them crystallize ideas. But the person that is changing them, it can save you nights of just thinking about, oh, what's my life about? Just feeling gloom. No. When you come out of the program, for every single person, this is guaranteed. You're literally like a new person. You're clear on what you should be focusing on, who you are, what you should be doing. And for me, that is priceless. Some of you might say, okay, what will happen if I don't say yes? If I decide not to enroll? Nothing. Nothing will happen. I can't come and beat you where you are. But the truth is that nothing happens when you do nothing, and nothing may change in your situation if you choose to do nothing. And action will determine whether nothing changes in your life or everything changes in your life. Okay? So I would really encourage you to enroll. I'll drop the link in the group. I'm trying to be mindful of time because it was, yes, I'm trying to be mindful of time. So I would really encourage you to sign up. Why you should trust me, I've been through it. I've seen what it has done for people. So not just speaking about myself, I've seen what it has done for people. When it comes to this program, this is one of our best, not one of, it's our best performing program. It's a program where we get the highest number of transformations. It's a program that I can beat my chest about. So I would really encourage you to join. So if you're uncomfortable with your current situation, you want a better life of more, you're serious about living purposefully and enjoying new levels of fulfillment and financial abundance, but you're tired of making excuses and holding yourself back, please enroll in the 31-day accelerator. It opens up today. Enrollment opens up today. And you can for any other, I told you, you can join for 15,000, 20,000, or 50,000. Any of them get the program itself. The only difference is the duration of your assignments and things like that, which are like icing on the cake, the base of everybody. So um, the link on commonwomanmovement.com/emerge31A. So I really encourage us to join, and I'll see you in the next cohort. If we have any questions, it would be good to hear from you. I was waiting for questions on the other part. I don't think we have any. Amen. 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 Thank you so, so much, everyone. Thank you. Good night.